name is Dorcas Nakachwa. I was born and raised here, but I currently live and work in Montreal, Canada. And I think I'll start off with giving an introduction about myself. I would want to relate to you as much as possible because I was once like you. I did physics, economics, math, ICT at Gayaza High School. And after that, I went on to do a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering at a private university called Aerospace University in Accra, Ghana. I fell in love with aerospace engineering from Gayaza, actually. So when I was there, a pilot came to us to talk to us just the way we are talking to you. And at that time, I was learning a few concepts in physics and fluid mechanics, like pressure principles and all that, if you know, Bernoulli's and all. And I really loved it so much. And it happened at a time where the pilot talked to us. So I decided, you know what? I want to become an aerospace engineer. I want to do this. And at that time, I was very privileged to have Dr. Samson Rahire in my life, who is my mentor, actually. So he talked to me a lot. And I went on to do mechanical engineering. My concentration, my thesis, my final year thesis was in aerospace. I was researching to see if we can, the wing that you see, right now there's a lot of technology coming up with blended wing designs and all the people who know a little bit about aviation. But my research was, can we use an inflatable wing instead of a rigid wing? So that was it. That thesis got me into McGill before I even graduated. So in my third year, I got admitted into my master's program. And I finished that in 2021, got a job in Montreal, Canada. But I have to say, though, that the good thing with studying overseas, and hopefully we can bring that here if we have a developed aerospace industry, is when you're studying aerospace, you actually get to work. So when I was studying my master's in aerospace, I got to work with Bombardier Aerospace. And with them, I worked in avionics. I worked on the black box of the Bombardier aircraft. So after that, if you have any questions, you can shoot them, you can send them over. I like to have an interactive session, so I'm going to make this very brief. After that, after I graduated, I had some work experience with Bombardier, as I've shared, and I got a job with CAE Inc. So CAE trains pilots. If you have ever flown an aircraft, it's possible that we have trained you to fly. We have locations in all over the world, but in Africa, we have ones in Ethiopia, South Africa. I think that's pretty much it. But what I do there is I'm a mechanical designer, so I actually get to design those flight simulators. It's very exciting work. I'm very grateful to God, and I'm very happy to wake up every morning to do something that I love and I'm passionate about. So that is pretty much it. We're into military, so we design military jets. A lot of that information is very classified, so I would be happy to share unclassified information, but that is pretty much it. And I think I'll go deep. Aerospace engineering, what is aerospace engineering? It's mainly aeronautical and astronomical. So my concentration was aeronautics and space engineering. But even in aeronautics, I like aerodynamics, like Dr. Rahire. So all the courses and subjects that I did were to optimize fluid flow, basically anything that moves through the fluids, so things like winglets. If you have seen the aircrafts that are coming up right now, they have small winged structures at the wings. Those are winglets, and those are very small. I would say when you look at it, it's very small, but it's contributes to about 2% of cost savings for an airline company, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money because it helps the aircraft burns less fuel because the airflow is much smoother. So because less oil is burned, the airline company is saving money. So that is when you look at it, it's a small invention, but a lot of scientists put in a lot of brain work into that, and it's been very helpful. So things like that, riblets, blended wing designs and all that. So those are things that I love. I also love turbo machinery and propulsion. Those are the engines. And when you look at the propeller of an engine, it's aerodynamics really, because air flows into the engine, and you have to make sure that airflow doesn't separate. That's aerodynamics, and a lot of brain work goes into that. So anyway, anything aerodynamics, that's what I love. I also love space engineering. Maybe one day I'll go into space, who knows? That is something that I love. That is pretty much it. I like to have an interactive session, but because of the streaming, I have to be here. Dr. Rahure, should we open the floor for questions? Okay. All right. So I'm open to answer any questions that are in the audience, anything. I did physics, economics, math, anything high school related, anything university. I did mechanical engineering, concentrated aerospace, did a master's in aerospace, so that's my background. Open to answering any questions.
Yes, good morning. My question is about, you've talked about doing let me call them the shapes, not even the shapes, but the models of the military stuff. So when you're designing, we usually also in our free time design some space aeroplane models and that, doing like some projects, but the problem we face is in the production, because that usually challenges us, and that's why our projects don't usually aim to the best. So how do you guys do it? And you're home, then you come up with a nice project, then present it to a board. These guys like it, they tell you make a prototype, you make it, they buy it. Yeah, but here in Uganda, we usually it's also challenged when it comes to aeronautical projects. And the next one is the electrical electronics? Yeah, that part, it is...
The avionics?
Yeah, avionics, yeah. It usually challenges that, you see, when those aircrafts raise, we usually find that problem now controlling using, let me say, a remote controller. So is there a way we can integrate some chips that can, or like processors, that can do that straight away without, like I give it a SIM, whereby it will just fly to a given IP that.
Okay. So there are two questions. The one that I get is how, basically how are aircrafts designed industry-wise? So I was very lucky and I was privy to information. Bombardiers has a so now they're not into commercial aviation, but now they're into private aviation. I was privy to the latest aircraft that they released in 2022, the Global 8000. That aircraft was worked on by over 2,000 engineers. So that is a lot of brain work that goes into it. I'm a designer now. I design flight simulators, which are very similar to aircrafts, because before any pilot learns to fly, they have to, so they go into a flight simulator, and that flight simulator has to be exactly like an aircraft. And that as well is designed by like 2,000 engineers. So what I have to say is that those bigger companies have a lot of resources, which unfortunately we don't have here in Uganda currently. And a single engineer, so for example, when I design something and I go to the factory to see what I designed, it's a very small thing as compared to the whole SIM. So there's a lot of collaboration that goes into place. There's a lot of teamwork that goes into place. I know Bombardier. So Bombardier, the fuselage, the body of the aircraft is not designed in Canada. It's designed somewhere, I think in France, or it's somewhere in Europe. So that shows you how much collaboration goes into actually coming up with a full aircraft ready to fly. I know I'm forgetting the name for it. The landing gears. The landing gears are designed elsewhere, and they're brought in, and they're compiled together. They're brought into one central facility they're compounded together. So unfortunately, if you're just one person who is designing an aircraft, you could do it, but to have it, it takes a lot of hard work. That's what I'm trying to say. You would have to learn the different things and how they come into place. When I was doing a course, it's aerodynamics, aircraft aerodynamics and airworthiness. I got to go into an aircraft and actually see how these different parts come together. I was mind blown. It's a lot of hard work that goes into, and there's a lot of physics that you have to take into accountability. So yes, it's doable. I have seen someone who has flown an aircraft, but the flying time is not so good. So after some time, it would finally drop on the ground. I am someone with a positive attitude. I don't want to discourage you. It is doable, but what I would have to say, it's a lot of hard work, and you'd have to read to combine all this knowledge together. Then the second question, did you have something to add?
Yes, I wanted, thank you. To add on something on what Dorcas has said, of course, what you've raised something about autonomous systems.
Yeah.
These research and always, of course, products are there. For instance, you've heard of military drones.
Yeah.
So they are autonomous in one way or another. You can be here and everything is pre-programmed, and this drone will go and bomb, let's say, I don't want to use a city in Uganda. Let's say Kalahari Desert. So when you're here, so basically autonomous systems, of course, they are going into that. They also, of course, if you look at general aviation, because there are types of actually aircraft. We have what we call the low spots aircraft, these smaller ones. I think you've seen them at Kajansi and stuff like that. Then we have what we call the general aviation aircrafts. General aviation, maybe they can carry passengers about 10 to 20 passengers. Then we have what we call commercial aviation aircraft. Those ones are now the big ones. So it's possible to automate systems. It's very possible. Of course, you have to do, like she has said, it is tedious. You have to look at the flight mechanics. You have to look at the aerodynamics. And also the flight mechanics now, you turn all that. That's why we thought these people were doing, for instance, electronics, electrical, and software engineering. For instance, if you look at the flight mechanics, you're turning now the mechanical, that is the mechanics of materials, the engineering mechanics, and the aerodynamics together into code. You get it? So now you're turning all that into digital code, 10s. So so the programming is also good. If you can start programming, you can still go into whatever. So if you look at these drones, it's all about code. Now the microprocessors or the microcomputers which you have, I think my friend there, the telecom engineer, understands it better. He can explain it better there. So it's all about programming those computers to deliver what you want. So even those drones, if you look at even these small drones which you have, what she brings for my daughters is it has the flight mechanics, it has the aerodynamics and everything. But you're turning all that science into code. Then you're able to control it, of course, using radio signals and all that kind of stuff. Of course, there is some bit of interference and stuff. If you look at, for instance, space, now the other side, when we cross here, how many of you have seen the International Space Station? Like at night, you're able to see it, by the way, on a clear day. Of course, it is like a star. Yeah, it's like a star. You're able to see it. But the NASA has a website whereby it shows you where you can see it easily. If you go to the NASA website of International Space Station, you're able to see it, to see it. Now, if you look at space, we have satellites which are automated. You had Uganda launched a small satellite. They're called nanosatellites. They're very small. They're nanosatellites which are launched. So, but everything is automated. So, aerospace as a career is wide. There are navigation systems. There are issues you can deal with the flight mechanics. She's designing. You look at aircraft design. Now, even as an aircraft, if you look at an aircraft, it has different parts. For instance, when I was in school, I was working for a company, Boeing company, which was producing parts for the air conditioning system for the Boeing 787 program. So that's why I did my PhD in materials, because I was working on materials. Yeah. So if, for instance, I think the 787 has a composite fuselage. Fuselage is that body. You see that round thing? It's called a fuselage. And so she has spoken about fuel savings. For instance, in aviation, fuel is the most direct cost. Somebody is doing business. You understand the rest costs. It cuts into the profit. So, and fuel is very expensive. So as a designer, as she's designing, she has to make sure that the aeroplane which she has produced is light enough and it is efficient. You get it? To run. So you don't want heavy things on an airplane. No. You want as light materials as possible. So in order to make sure that is efficient, she has to design winglets. She has to design lots of things to make sure that when the airplane is sailing through air in terms of aerodynamics, is okay. And probably there is a thing which we didn't tell them. How do airplanes fly? So today when you're driving, your parents are driving, or when you're in a taxi, try to put your hand out, just like this. So when air flows through your hand, you'll feel like it is being lifted. Yeah? So it's just a pressure difference between up and down, which makes it fly. But when it, removing it from down to put it up is the challenge. That's also engineering. Now to remove it from down to up, you have to do either helicopter, which said it's also aerodynamics, the blades, or you use engines which can, hop, like the Raptor F-35, the Falcon F-35 Raptor. That's a military jet, which can, well, we call it vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL. So you can hop. Or you have to gain momentum. Yeah, you go on a runway, zoo, until you reach what we call the rotational speed, VR. And then you rotate the aircraft, you just raise the nose gear, and then your nose gear, of course, because of the pressure difference, you're able to do what? To go up. That's what I wanted to add. You can go.
Yes. I also wanted to add in, so the different, how you could, so for example, an electrical engineering person, how they could, so if you did a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, you can do avionics. So you could do aerospace engineering, but then master avionics. So what is avionics? Avionics is, they're the systems that run the aircraft. The popular the Boeing Max that crashed in Indonesia and in Kenya as well was an avionics problem, pretty much. There was a bit of aerodynamics, but it was an avionics problem. The MCAS system was sending the wrong signals. So that was all avionics. someone who did Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, I had two options. I could do aeronautics, aerodynamics, or I could do materials, structures and materials. That is also an option. Landing gears, the composite materials that I used to make the fuselage and the different parts of the aircraft. Like Dr. Rahura mentioned, the two most important things when you're designing or working in aviation is cost saving and lightness. So whatever you design, whatever you do, you think about two things. How heavy is this thing, and how costly is it? So those are the two main things that we think about. You could also go into aircraft management. I've not seen a lot of people that have done aerospace that have gone into management, but it's also a possibility that you could do. So those are the 4 different sectors that you could concentrate in when you do aerospace engineering. I have a question here. In my final year at Emirates Aviation University, how do I apply for masters at McGill? So at McGill, the cutoff point to even be considered to be admitted, I'm not talking about scholarship, is 3.4 out of 4.0, the GPA. So ideally, that's what you should have. 3.4, I think, should be a second class upper to be admitted. Now, if you want a scholarship, you need to have a first class degree. So you should work at having like a 3.5 to 4.0. There are very many scholarships. There is one that closed in August. There is one that usually the calendar year is, if you want to join in September 2023, you should have applied in September 2022. So if you want to join in September 2024, you should apply this year in September. Applications open around August, September. The scholarship is called McGill McCall McBain Scholarship. It's MC double B A double L. That's McCall. McBain is MC BAIN scholarship. It's a highly competitive scholarship. Everyone around the world applies for it. But I know students from my alma mater in Ashesi who got admitted. So, and they're joining this year in September. So it's doable. You have to fight hard at it, but you can do it. My scholarship was the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. It's not running. It doesn't have engineering programs open. I would have to double check, but it's open in other schools in the US. They're at Oxford in the UK. They're at Cambridge. They're at, I think they're at Harvard as well. They're at some of the top universities in the world. So it might not be Canada that you might, McGill, it might not be McGill where you do your aerospace engineering, but there are other schools that offer aerospace engineering. You can look MasterCardFoundationScholars.org, and then look at their partner institutions. One thing that I know is they've expanded their list of partners, so you should be able to find something. Other scholarships that I know, MasterCard is very extensive. MasterCard gives you everything, and they pay you a stipend as well to study, so you're basically paid to study. From air ticket costs to laptop to everything, and the cutoff age is 35. So anyone between 18 to, actually anyone between 16 to, because they also sponsor high school students, so anyone between 16 to 35 should qualify. The other scholarship that that is my go-to, MasterCard. The McCall McBain is strictly at McGill. The other one that I know is the Rhodes Trust. The Rhodes Scholarship, it's a very prestigious scholarship. I know that they're given per region, so I think in East Africa they give us like 3 slots every year, but it's also a very extensive scholarship at the University of Oxford. There is the Bill and Melinda Gates Scholarship at Cambridge. That is also another very extensive and prestigious scholarship. But other than that, so about my application journey, I knew that I was doing a thesis in aerospace. My third year at campus, I knew that I definitely wanted to do aerospace engineering. So what I did, I looked at some of the top schools in the world that offered aerospace, and I went on their website and I looked at the different scholarships that they offered. Every school, I've not met a school that doesn't have scholarships, because honestly, universities abroad pay a lot of money, and some of the citizens as well cannot pay that money. So every school has scholarships. So what I did, I looked at their scholarship deadlines, I looked at their admission deadlines, and I applied. So what I wanted to do, I didn't want to have a break in between, so I wanted to go directly from my bachelor's to my master's. So that means I applied when I was in my third year. Remember, if you want to join in September 2024, you apply in September 2023. So I applied in my third year at the beginning of my second semester when I was graduating in June. My calendar year then was, we graduate in June, the calendar year starts in September. So no, the calendar year, we graduate in June, the second semester starts in no. So the first semester runs from September to December, the second semester runs from January to June. So I applied at the beginning of my third year, actually. I was mistaken, yeah. So I applied at the beginning of my third year and then got into, by the time I graduated, I was already admitted. But it wasn't an easy process. A lot of rejections, a lot of no's. People who have, no one is averse to rejection. Even Elon Musk, even the greatest people that you know, Bill Gates, the people that started Apple, and they will tell you that they've tried several times. Nothing comes on a silver plate. Everything you have to, there's no shortcut. The shortcut is hard work. And sometimes there are pitfalls, sometimes there are valleys, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. So don't get discouraged when you apply to so many, for the people here who want to join directly to university, don't get discouraged when you get rejections. It's part of the process. We all get rejected too, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. So I think that's what I would say. So the strategy, honestly, if you want to go into aerospace, look at the aerospace schools, Google and come up with an extensive list, and look at their scholarship deadlines, look at their admission deadlines, note them, look at the emails, send emails. I sent out emails, and be confident. The thing is, I went to Gayaza, and the motto there is never give up. It has done me wonders. By the grace of God as well, I believe in God that He's on my side because I'm a Christian. But don't give up. The worst thing that you can ever get is a no. And what can a no do to you? Nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So apply. I think I applied to like 30 schools. I don't remember. I made an Excel sheet. I put down admission deadlines. I put down scholarship deadlines. I emailed professors. I emailed, usually they have graduate advisors. So the people that you're in contact with, the people that are going to advise you, you know what, you need a letter of intent. Your letter of intent is going to include this and this. I did all that. So I had my Excel sheet. I emailed everyone. I looked at the admission deadlines. I did that when I had a thesis. Anyone who has done an engineering degree knows how hard an engineering thesis is, because you have to fabricate something and you have to find results for whatever you're trying to find out, for whatever your thesis is. It wasn't easy, but it's been worth it. So that's what I would say. And then the other thing that you'd need is you need to have a statement of purpose, or for short, some people call it a letter of intent. Why do you want to get admitted into this program? It's a very competitive, everyone wants to become an aerospace engineer. No, okay, that's a generalization, but so many people want to become aerospace. What distinguishes you from the next person? It could be the research that you've done, like Akankwasa. It could be other things that you have done, extracurricular that you have done. Schools look out for different things, so that letter of intent. And then you need to have mentors. I cannot overemphasize that. Whoever I talk to, no one is an island. No one is an island. No one is a standalone success. Like you made it all by yourself. No one. I was very lucky. I had Dr. Rahire. I don't think he remembers the number of references that he sent to these universities, but he was one of my references that I used when I was applying to all these universities. You need mentors. You need people who are going to refer you. Ideally, if you have work experience, they would require some professional experience, professional referee, but they also need academic referees. So that is pretty much it. You need a statement of purpose, you need a letter of intent. Your statement of purpose has to be strong. So what is the research that you have done? For me, I've done so many projects. The gentleman over there mentioned Arduino. I was the president for my electronics club at Ashesi, and I'd done so many Arduino projects, programmed a lot of things, include that if you're a programmer and you have a Git hub or a repository where you keep your code, you can include that. If you have done any kind of projects, include that. And honestly, this is all to say. So I knew that I wanted to do my master's, I think in my senior six. For me, it was a personal goal of mine. I would never have felt fulfilled if I didn't do my master's. And the thing is, I've come to realize that success is different for everyone. What I define as success is different for other people. I have friends who are doing their PhDs right now, and for them, they will never feel fulfilled unless they do their PhDs, and that is okay. For me, I wanted to do my master's and go into the industry and do hands-on in the industry, and that is okay. Some other people do bachelor's and they're like, you know what, okay, I'll stop it here, get some experience, go and do an MBA. And that is also okay, but you need to be clear on what you want in life. You need to absolutely be clear about that. For me, I was clear about that. I knew that I didn't want to get married after my bachelor's. I did not look at that. I knew that I wanted to finish my master's before I can look at any other thing. So that is what I did. So what I have to say is that you have to be clear on what you want, and when you're clear on that, that's a goal. Then you take actionable steps to achieve that. So that what I've shared. I know there are so many questions in the audience, but yeah, letter of purpose, have mentors, and then so I was piggybacking off what I said. So because I knew that I wanted to do my master's immediately, I kept mentors around who had done something that I want to do. So like Dr. Rahire, he did mechanical, he did aerospace. I talked to him, we had so many conversations, and other mentors as well. I asked them questions like, what did you do to get where you are? And some of the things they shared, I tried to implement. I got mentors who could offer references. I knew that MasterCard as a scholarship is big on community engagement. So I was in my community, I was helping out street kids in Ghana. Whenever I needed to be, really, when it came to community, I was there. So all to say, you have an end goal in mind, but you have to work towards that end goal. If you want to do a master's and you want to go on a scholarship, look at the general requirements of several scholarships and try to have that, because you can't fake it. Everyone that I've seen that has gotten a scholarship has truly, yes, by the grace of God, but has truly deserved it. They have had things that they've done in their lives that have allowed them to be where they are. So that is what I would say, and I'll leave it off here, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you. Dorcas, I would like to add on, you have raised the issue of You have to work hard. If you want to study aerospace engineering and you apply to the universities, don't apply to one and give up. Elder Lule Godfrey, who is standing over there, if he can tell you my experience when we were with him at Nakawa Church, he can tell you that, it was a struggle. If you want to excel, you need to struggle. People who excel, most of you, I don't watch football that a lot, but I watch once in a while if it is finals. I am sure for Messi to win the World Cup, it has been years of struggling, years of perfecting. So you apply the same principle. If you want to study aerospace engineering, it takes years of working hard. She excelled when she was at Gayaza. She came from Katikam, went to Gayaza, and she excelled. She had a couple of A's for her to get admitted into the mechanical engineering program. So you need to work hard to excel. So that is step number one. And then when you excel, make sure you work hard. In most cases, when people get into university, let me tell you, I left Uganda after my A-level. I was in a European country alone. My parents are not there, but because my parents had given me a good background in church, they were very strict. Elder Lule Godfrey can testify. They were very strict, I was able to support myself. The same, she used to be in church. So by the time she left Uganda, she was already grounded, and it's very important for the parents who are here that you ground your children before you send them off. Sending them off overseas is okay. Yeah. But if they're not grounded, let me tell you that it's very easy for a child to veer off the path when the parents are not there. But if you have given them the background through high school, they're able to excel. But when you get into university, you still have to have another plan. Because your plan is what? To excel. You want a first class. You get it. I have a couple of my friends who were not able to complete. Why? Because in most cases, they had life. The parents are not there. They were free to do anything and that kind of stuff, whatever they can do. So it is important that aerospace is interesting. The courses you're going to study, they're hands-on. Then another thing, I want to tell you, it's in Ugandans actually. It's in our Ugandan culture. In most cases, we don't we always work under supervision. So you need to be self-driven. I was the only black amongst whites, and of course sometimes they would say, are you a tourist here or what? So you had to distinguish yourself that you're really good. You're not just there by chance. What am I trying to say? In most cases, we are trained to work under supervision. The teacher gives homework, and then I've seen it here, just here in Uganda, or they give coursework, and then towards the end of the semester, the coursework is supposed to be handed in, then the student comes. I fell sick. I could not do the homework. No, you need to train yourself to be self-driven. These whites, I was with them. They would give coursework this week, today. Next week, their coursework, which is supposed to be handed in at the end of the semester. Next week, they are handing in. And you're like, hey, you don't have what to do. But no, they are trained to make sure they clear assignments as soon as they come. They don't postpone anything. So you need to train yourself to be self-driven. They don't teach that in your high school. No. If they give an assignment, do it, clear it, and read white. Right now, you people are very lucky. They're not like us. They have internet, they have YouTube, they have everything there. Read as wide as possible. We have seen people who have flown airplanes learning through YouTube. By the way, I can tell you can fly an airplane through YouTube University. You can. People are saying how? The whole information is there. You'll get into the cockpit. The pilots even have pages whereby they tell you how to fly an airplane. So this generation has been blessed with a lot of information. Take it and then use it. But the most important thing, make sure you work hard. Now, she has spoken about the issues of scholarship. I want to capitalize on that. MasterCard Foundation has scholarships. Write that down. MasterCard Foundation has scholarships. Try to look out for them. And then if you have good grades, apply to the schools. And if your parents have money, apply to the US schools. You can easily get in, That is if you have good grades, especially for. And the good thing about the US and Canada, where she studied from, they have aerospace companies. So if you feel like for me, I wanted to come back home because I had stayed in Europe for a long time, and more of evangelism. I wanted to come back home and work here, and I'm very comfortable. But if you want to live over there, for instance, in the US, Europe, Canada, you can easily get into the aerospace companies, So you can easily get into them. And then volunteer. Volunteer. If you're at home and you're interested in aerospace, go to the aircraft companies at Entebbe. Try to speak to them and tell them, I just want to have an internship, And you can get internship positions in those companies, of course, through the right connections. But if they see, even an employer, if he sees that this is a serious student, he just wants to get experience. No employer can chase away such a student. No one. Because all you want to do is to learn. And that will help you in your career, in your aerospace career. Now, Dorcas, I wanted us, we speak about the different careers in aerospace. She spoke about how she's designing simulators. You can be an aircraft maintenance engineer. Those aircraft maintenance engineers, what they do, they fix aeroplanes. They fix engines. And for instance, there's somebody who wanted to be a flight dispatcher, So that's also a career which you can pursue. And the most important thing is that try to have the preliminaries. Right now, you don't need to go to school to learn to program. You don't need to. If you have an interest in engineering, by the way, engineering, you need to know Python. Absolutely. And C++. Yes. Those two programs, engineering programs. You can start programming even at a young age, as early as 10 years old. Yeah. Where would you get the material? Of course, YouTube University. The material is there. You just need a computer. Of course, the parents you have to monitor if it is programming. By the way, these kids are very smart. They are very, very smart. They will program. I remember, if you remember Julian Assange. How many of you remember Julian Assange? The one who is holed up here somewhere in Russia, who he cracked into the NASA website, but he started in high school, by the way. So he used to sit in his room alone. Okay, also one thing I should say, the parents, especially engineers, are not so usually friendly. They're usually introverts. They want to stay alone. And if you see such a kid, if he wants to stay alone, being on the computer alone, give them that environment. So in most cases, by the way, engineers always want either to deal with machines, and they're not so outgoing in that way. Another thing I want to say that the other skills which you can, like Akankwasa used to build his engines at home. Try to, Edison, if you remember Edison very well, this is a story you know very well. The mom, actually Edison was just from school, I understand. They had told him he was stupid. That's what they had said. But what happened is that the parent told the kid, no, you're not stupid, you're smart. So the parent used to buy books and used to make these experiments of the light. And by the time you know it, he made 999 experiments. The 1,000th is why we have a bulb. Yeah. So you can build your career. If you want to build drones, do it. Start from there. Start building drones. Start writing code. Then you can get into the career. The career is very interesting. And then also another thing which I want to tell you is that she has spoken about mentors. Try to speak to them. Ask them. Anything you do. You studied the physics in class. Try to turn that physics into reality. Turn the physics into reality. You've learned about gyroscopes. Those of you who are in A-levels. We use gyroscopes to stabilize those aeroplanes, to stabilize satellites, to stabilize the space vehicles. So try to translate all that into reality, and then you'll find out that the course will be interesting. You can be in automotive. Even if you're in automotive, you can still go into what? Into aerospace as aircraft maintenance. For instance, maintenance engineering, if you're maintaining, for instance, if you're looking at tires, it's not any different the way you maintain them. The oiling and all that kind of stuff is all the same. That's what I wanted to add on, Dr. Sat, as the other questions come.
Okay. Yes, go for it.
Thank you so much. My question was about what I know with aviation is not something which you can just bypass.
Yes.
Because with other courses like electrical engineering, you can study how to wire a house.
Mm-hmm.
You can self-teach yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're not certified, you can go into the field and start working. But with aviation and medicine, you need to be certified. So my question is about which procedure do you follow? For example, I'm not qualified like you, the people who are talking to us. What I'm saying, which procedure? Because my goal is to have
a certification.
To have an aircraft company here in Uganda producing aircraft. That's my goal, and I believe it's halfway by God's grace. Now, which procedure do I have to go through to certify like the aircrafts we make? Yeah, because there is something you talked about, and it was very useful to me. Even though I don't make a full aircraft, I can order the wings from China, get the engine from Korea like that. So which procedure, if I want to have it certified to start operating? Thank you.
So they would need to run tests on your aircraft. I know someone. I worked with someone who used to certify aircraft. They've certified different aircrafts from different countries. But one thing so every country ideally should have, we have a civil aviation authority here, and our civil aviation authority here should certify your aircraft. So your aircraft would go through different testing conditions, icing conditions, because icing is, we have had airplane crashes because ice got into the engines. Like bird strike tests. If you know of this gentleman, he's called Sally. Pilot Sally, if you know him. If you're into aviation, you should know Pilot Sally. The guy who landed an aircraft on Hudson because of a bird strike. So we have had birds get ingested into the engine, and we were very lucky that no one died on the Hudson. That was a miracle. But yeah, tests like that. So icing, bird strike, different tests have to be undertaken on your aircraft before it is allowed to carry passengers. Because I would presume that you'd want your aircraft to fly not only in Uganda, but regional, cross-border and international, possibly to even cross big oceans like the Atlantic. If I'm presuming that is your big goal. I know that the CAA, so that's the Canadian Aviation Authority, they do have strict procedures before you roll out an aircraft, or even before you do any modification on an aircraft. So I'll give you an example. The project that I worked on with Bombardier, we had to include some form of hotspot in the cockpit because we wanted to I was in avionics, so we needed to download some data and do some programming on it. But before we even did that, they had to go to, we had to read the CAA manuals, first of all, understand, before we go to CAA, do we have the right qualifications? Have we passed the check marks before we go to them? Then we went to CAA, and then they allowed us to make modifications on this aircraft. So ideally, in the US, they have the Federal Aviation Authority. So that is how it should be. Our Civil Aviation Authority here would be the governing organization that would certify your aircraft. And then if that goes through, then your aircraft would be allowed to fly. Then there's ICAO as well, the International Civil Aviation Authority. You also have to comply with ICAO. Very, very happy that ICAO headquarters are in Montreal. So yeah, you would have to make sure that your aircraft also certifies ICAO's aviation standards. There's also the International Aviation Authority. Honestly, I think I would let Dr. Rahure chime in on that. I know about the CAA, the FAA, and the ICAO. If you need any contacts in ICAO, by the way, ICAO, CAA, I'll be very happy to give you contacts. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add on that Africa missed the first industrial revolution, missed the second industrial revolution, missed the third industrial revolution. Now we are in the fourth, what we call Industry 4.0. And Industry 4.0 looks at having robotics and all that kind of stuff. So it would take us a long time for us to go through those revolutions which they had. You know, we can't. But we have a chance where, from Industry 4.0, we start from there, and then we jump on board. What am I trying to say? Frank, you can try to look at drones. The market for drones is high, and it's still open for us. Why am I saying that? You don't have to go through what they passed through to come to what they are right now. But for drones, you need your PC to program the flight mechanics and to program to ensure that your airframe, whatever you've made, is aerodynamically sound. You get it? Just like that. You see, you've seen the photo of a helicopter. Hollywood was using a cameraman in a helicopter trying to shoot a movie, isn't it? Yeah. That was 10 years ago. Now, what are we using? We're using drones to shoot those movies. We're using drones to deliver blood. We're using drones for the warfare. Is now in drones, because now they have found out that, okay, instead of putting a pilot in an aeroplane, no, we rather send a drone, and then our pilots are safe. You get it? So you can start from there. You can start from the drones. Uganda is importing in drones. Do you know, have you seen the DJI Phantom drones? You've seen the DJI Phantom drones. Now let me tell you about that story. It's made from China. Right, and they are selling very well in the US. The DJI Phantom, who was a college student, like college or, that side they call it college or university student. So he was in the, yes, I'm coming. He was in the dorm, and he felt he was doing the flight mechanics. So he started writing code, and then when his code worked out, after university, he started this company called DJI Phantom. So when he started this company, it's now a global company. Do you see? He never needed much. His PC, knowledge of aerospace, and programming. So if you look at Rwanda right now is using drones to deliver blood to hard-to-reach areas. So these are things which we can venture in. Now, if you make an airplane now, let's say you start with a low sports aircraft, the market will not be wide. Yet for drones, the market is already there. You can just jump into it, and it can also catapult you to other stuff. The certification will be easier for a drone than for an entire aircraft, because if you look at the engines, you look at all the other stuff, and which can, whatever we can think of. Another thing which you can think of is space. You see, we have launched space programs, I mean, with the nano satellite, which was built by a university in Tokyo, because our students were studying in Tokyo. They had to build that nano satellite, but that's just a virgin area. You know some bit of programming. We can think of our Ugandan satellites. There are lots of things we need to monitor. We need to monitor our weather. We cannot predict. Now, who knew that it was going to rain yesterday night? No one, it just dropped. But if we have our weather satellites here, that's also aerospace. These are things which we can think of as Ugandans. We need to look at, in Uganda, what are we lacking in terms of aerospace? And then you catapult on that, then you will have a kill. That's what I wanted to add on.
Yeah, I think start small. That's what I would say. Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, friends. Thanks for the talk. It is informative. But some of us, like me, I am naive about whatever you're saying. Very naive. You're talking of avionics, and I'm like, is this a new term? It is not broken down to my layman English to make me understand. But it's okay. Then I am thinking, I'm a parent, okay? And some other parents. Me as a parent, my idea of coming here to know where should my child go? What is the latest course on market? How much am I going to spend? Do I reap what I get? How do, you get it?
I get you.
So there are some of those things that we want to know. But when you're talking of those big words, please understand that my small body does not understand the big words. So please, break them down, so that we can all be on the same page. Otherwise, you're leaving us. We are here, but we are somewhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that feedback. I would let you'll chime in. I'll talk on the courses to take. So I'm a STEM person, like Dr. Rahure said.
STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math.
So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Like he said, I founded Inogen. It's a STEM organization, and what we really do is we identified the problem in Uganda. We were very lucky to have mentors and people around us who mentored us and told us that, you know what, if you do PEM, physics and math, you will go into engineering. The economics and the math will take you into business. If you do something like PCB, the biology will take you into medicine. So that is what we do at Inogen. You can visit our website, inogenafrica.org. We are also on all social media platforms. And you can send us an email, info@inogenafrica.org. But I'll go ahead and share my opinion. For me, I think that the current industrial revolution that we are going through, seriously, and not to discredit other people who are into business, we really do need you people, but at the forefront, it's going to be STEM. The current industrial revolution, you talk about robotics. So robotics, it's like another, I would say, another system, physical system that is doing things. For example, we know Jumia. Do we all know Jumia? Jumia is very equivalent to Amazon in North America. Amazon is, okay, I'll just say Jumia. So Jumia has warehouses. Instead of employing people who are carrying heavy stuff around their warehouse, Jumia could have robots that carry things, and those robots are programmed to carry things around the warehouse from one place to the other. So that is robotics. It's not a person, but it's an artificial person or an artificial system that is used to do human intelligent stuff. Of course, we humans have intuition, so they are still grappling with that. But right now, the world, robotics is everywhere. Robotics is for example, mining, right? People used to go deep down, work with hot metals, very dangerous metals. Right now, it's robots that are doing that. All that is industrialization. And those robots are programmed. So programming is you teach it what to do. So there are languages that you use to communicate with this robot. So for example, Dr. Rahira gave a clear example, Python and C++. Every person who wants to be somewhere in STEM, you don't even have to be in engineering, even in medicine, you need to know how to program. Right now, if you don't know how to program, I'm sorry, what are you about? So you need to be able to program, and Python and C++. So coming back to your question, so these programming languages, case in point, Python and C++, they're the ones that we use to communicate with this robot. So for example, I could come up with, and we call it, I don't know how to, but I'll explain it. We come up with codes. It's just, I would say, like a script of what it's going to do. So I would tell it, you know what? I want you to move from point A to point B. Point A and point B is roughly 100 meters. After 100 meters, turn. And when you turn, you're going to find something. When you find something, stop. Pick it up. When you pick it up, take this point. From here, go here, put it somewhere. So that I've instructed it to do what I want to do. For me to communicate with it, I used a programming language. I used either Python or C++. So that is pretty much it. That is the current industry that we are in. The industry we are in, you either need to be able to operate that robot or you need to be able to make that robot. And we all know, right now we are in the technology revolution. You either know how to use technology or you're working in technology. Those are the marketable industries. Even in medicine right now, I'll give you an example. My company, we're into aviation, but we're also into healthcare. We are making robots that are simulating the human body. So instead of having a rat or a human body that you're doing all the medical procedures from, what our company does is we give you robots and we give you simulations that would simulate an actual surgical operation. That is the world you're in right now. So you either need to be able to be in, either you're in technology, you don't have to be in aerospace, you don't have to be, as long as you know technology, as long as you're abreast with technology. And that's what I say, that even doctors need to know how to program. Right now, programming is not restricted to engineers. Or right now, I'll give you an example. The university that I went to, even business administration people programmed. They learned how to program with us. Even business administration people need to know how to program, because if you have a system, you're in accounting, and you're running the payroll, you can no longer do it manually. You can, even some of this, you need a software that is streamlined to do things automatically for you. So that is what I'm saying, that right now, you either need to be able to, you either need to be able to operate technology or you're working in technology. I will emphasize, you don't need to be in aerospace, or right now, everyone needs technology. So that's the current industry revolution that we're in. So coming back to your question, yes, right now, STEM careers, I would say, are the best-selling careers. And those STEM careers, I would like Dr. Rahira expound on that, but that's engineering, that's medicine, anything to do with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. you know what? I understand that I've not spent like 8 years in Uganda, so I will not speak. I'll let Dr. Rahire speak on the Ugandan market. But my friends who I went to school with, who did STEM careers, either at Katikama or Gayaza, right now they have I would say they're in they have good careers, if I should say. But I do understand that I've not spent a lot of time here. But the friends that I went to school with at Katikamo and Gayaza, who did STEM, right now are okay. And other friends that I did STEM, we did STEM courses together are okay. So it is, I'll speak for myself, it is very, the return to your investment is very good. And the trajectory of someone who has done STEM, it's good. So as a parent, I think you can trust my word on that. I'll let Dr. Rahire chime in on that.
Thank you very much, Dorcas. One thing we should, yes, Elder, I'm coming. We should understand, I think Grace wanted us to break down these terms, the jargon. I know that's jargon, also the doctors have it. You go, and the doctor will say some complicated words. And what is that? Is it carcinoma? What is that? Just say it's a tumor. But anyway, the jargon is always there. But I just wanted us to, I think we had started on it, but then we stopped. Like, the aerospace career is wide. We have people who are in aviation management, managing airports, managing all that kind of stuff. You've seen people who, like Elon Musk, Elon Musk did physics and engineering, they are together. Actually, sometimes people who have done physics, they feel like they are more superior to the engineers because they have studied almost everything what is their engineering plus also the physics. But if you look at the aerospace career, it is promising. We have aircraft maintenance engineers. Those, what they do, they maintain airplanes, or you call them mechanics. They are the people who look at the aircraft, then fix it if it gets a problem. When pilots fly the airplane, when they land on the ground, they're able to make a report, which the engineers are supposed to address. By the way, how many of you have seen what has been occurring just today? You have, eh? There was a Turkish Airlines aeroplane which was circling. In fact, somebody texted me and they told me, what is going on? Is there a problem? Then they told me the nose gear is out. Then I asked them, is the aft landing gears, are all they out? Now, what are the landing gears? In aerospace, we don't call them tires. We call them landing gears. Yes. So cars, you call them tires. Emipira. In aerospace, we call them landing gears. So when I'm speaking to an engineer, we don't say the front tire. No, we call it the nose wheel landing gear because it's at the nose of the aeroplane. And then the aft, we don't say behind, we use the word aft. So the aft, that is the behind. Then if you see that thing which is on top, which called the tail, we call it the tail. That is called the vertical tail. Then on the vertical tail, there is what we call the stabilizers. We call it the horizontal stabilizers. They stabilize the aircraft. Why? If it is down, you put it down, it goes up. You put it up, it goes down. Then we have the wings. Those ones, you know them. But now, so what are some of the things you can do in aerospace? One, I've mentioned it. You can become an aircraft maintenance engineer. Two, we have spoken about avionics. What is avionics? It is a combination of aviation and electronics. That's why it's called avionics. So, and we have very few in Uganda. They are not there. So the people who are just like, but you see those cars, eh? We have very few people who understand the electronics of those cars here in Uganda. The electronics, just electronics of those cars. So the electronics of cars and aeroplanes, we have very few professionals. In fact, if you're electronics, if you have a car and it has a mechanical problem, the engineers will be many. But let it get an electrical problem. They will call, you can see it's the same thing with the avionics. We have very few in Uganda. Actually, in most cases, we get them from Kenya. Because the Kenyan system has kind of, the aerospace system in Kenya, they have had aeroplanes for a long time. Kenya West has been there for a long time, so they have built capacity. That's why we have one gentleman who is at Kenya Aeronautical College. So they have the universities. And us here in Uganda, we still have a blanket over our heads in terms of building careers in what? Aeronautics and aerospace engineering. So avionics, which is electronics of airplanes, the professionals are not there. We have very few. Pilots, I already told you, we have very few Ugandan pilots. Very few. So these are careers. Okay, now the parent would say, okay, I invest in that. How much is my return? I told you already, the pay for pilots is good. It is good. And because of, since I'm a board member of National Airline, I cannot say the range because, but I have to say, yes, you can Google. I told you already that when I was working for Eagle Air as an aircraft maintenance engineer, we had an aircraft which was Beechcraft. It's actually made from Canada. And we used to fly in a maintenance engineer from Kenya to come and fix it. That is 2009, 2010. And that engineer would pay $200 per day. So if he would spend 10 days in Uganda, just fix, that is just his allowance, minus food, minus accommodation, minus all the other stuff. That is just the allowance. So he would make more than $2,000 to just go, just to come and sign off the aircraft and then go. So the aerospace career has opportunities and has many. You have seen aircraft. We have even, I had even forgotten. How can I forget the UPDF, the Air Force? Yes. Some parents are fearing to take people their kids to the Air Force. There are opportunities there, I'm telling you. By the way, let me tell you. Do you see most of these pilots we have flying? Now I'm seeing we have now I'm speaking globally, who fly these big jets. Most of them are from the army. When they retire from the army, they've been flying those fighter jets. They just convert their licenses and then start flying these the general aviation aircraft, the commercial aircraft. So do not look at the army as that my kid cannot go there. Let me tell you, there are opportunities there. We have the Sukhoi jets, we have whatever. So also that is something you can look at. Then we have helicopters. There are technicians there who fix also helicopters and the propellers and all that kind of stuff. Then we have space. I've already spoken about space. Of course, the space program is a bit kind of restricted. For instance, if Ugandans are to have astronauts, we have to either make China our friend, or Russia, or USA, or Canada, or the European countries. So the rate of return on investment is high. You're going to pay a lot. Now, let me speak about universities apart from the scholarships. Now, universities, where can you take your kid to study? You can take your kid to Kenya. They have some aerospace programs. Moi University has an aerospace school. Also pilot. It has a pilot school. There, it's the easiest. And you can easily graduate. Moi University has. And also they have what they call Kenya Aeronautical College. Also it has aeronautical engineering programs. Now, out of Kenya, of course, if you look at Egypt, those countries in Egypt and the north, they have very good universities for aerospace engineering. In South Africa, their tuition is not high. Okay, how much will you pay? You'll pay around 10 million per semester, around that. There are even some European countries, but in the European countries, I know, actually, Winnie, she told me she has arrived, I don't know. but Winnie started from Ukraine, but she works now for the police aviation wing. Actually, she's a police officer. I hope when she comes here, we shall all stand up and salute. So, what am I trying to say is that there are some countries, right now Ukraine is messed up. You can't go there. Please don't go there now. But there are other European Union countries which are cheaper and they have English programs. So how much would you pay? Some countries will charge around 4,000 euros per semester. Some countries will charge you 2,000 US dollars per annum. So there are some countries which are even cheaper to educate your kid there compared to Uganda. Another country I would tell you is Germany. Those of you who have not yet, who haven't yet completed O-level, learn German. Learn German. I know people who are in Gayaza, Budo, SMAC, and all that kind of stuff. You have those language courses than most other high schools. In German, you don't pay tuition. University is free if you learn in German. Free, as in free. F-R-E-E-E. So all what you have to do is to give your kid upkeep. And upkeep is not also expensive. So for me, personally, I think Germany is the #1 technologically advanced country in the whole world. Like, if you haven't been there, you cannot tell, but those people are advanced in technology. Look at the cars, the best cars we have. They are German cars. Look at aeroplanes. We have, by the way, if you look at the B-52 bomber is the most expensive airplane which has ever been made. It's American. But the B-52 was borrowed because of German technology. The Germans, it looks like a bird. It's a triangle, actually. So it was borrowed. The German engineers, at the time during World War, they had started designing aeroplanes with a triangle. So the Americans, America was too low in technology. But what they did, they made an immigration system which was open. They would pick the bright ones and take them there. So German, by that time, it was ahead in what we call the Delta design of aeroplanes. So America bought the idea and they made it. And during World War, they got all the German scientists and took them there. That's how Einstein ends up in where? In the USA. So it's a very good country to educate your kids. And there are very many countries with a German type of education systems. The EU, Japan, South Korea, they're all using the same type of education system. So in Germany, like I've said, tuition is free. There are some other cheaper countries. There is also some smaller countries like Latvia, Finland. Finland too. Finland is a developed nation. You don't pay tuition. But if you study in Finnish, Sweden too, you don't pay tuition. You study in Swedish. So these are some countries whereby you can think of where you can go to study if you don't have the money. But I've said, like she said, you need to work hard. You need to look for those scholarships as if you're looking for a needle in sand. You have to look for them, and they're online. So basically, I remember the time when I had finished high school. I used to move. I used to save my car money, and I go to where? To cafes. And all what to do is to look for scholarships. But right now, you have phones, which are on the internet. You can get them. What else? I've spoken about space. I've spoken about the careers. Now, on an airplane, you can specialize in power plants. Power plants are engines. Those are the engines. We call them power plants. So they can be engines. You can specialize in either the design of the engines or the maintenance thereof. Now, there's what we call the structures. That is the fuselage. You can specialize in that. You can specialize in the electronics. You can specialize in the... You see, an airplane is like a home. There's an air conditioning system. There's the lavatories, which we call toilets. So everything there is like a holistic. It's approached holistically. They design systems, like she has said. Even the layout of the airplane is also designed. People have done the industrial fine art. So they are the ones who designed that. If you look, how many of you have flown Uganda Airlines here? Amen, amen. Keep flying the crane. Keep flying the crane. If you look at Uganda Airlines, do you know why we're having that terracotta color? Terracotta is like brownish. Do you know why we have that brownish in the airplanes? No, we are mimicking back clothes because it's our indigenous cloth. So that's why we put in Uganda Airlines that terracotta color. And if you fly the A330s, that's the Airbus A3, oh, it's a very good airplane. Very good. If you fly the A330, it looks very beautiful inside. With that terracotta color, it looks very beautiful. So as you can see, the careers are many. The rate of return of investment is also high. I've told you, pilots make money. Yeah, I've told you pilots make money. You just understand. They make money because they make money. That is the and in order to fly, you just 2-3 years fly. Although the investment you put in at first is a bit high because you'll have to the more hours you amass, the more you become experienced. So it is a good career and you can easily chase it. Just chase it, go for it, and then you'll be able to whatever. Now, there are other universities which are Malaysia has. There are cheaper universities in Malaysia to study aerospace. Turkey, you can also look at them. Which other country? Which, of course, Australia is expensive like US and Canada. Those ones are very expensive. Now, for instance, you will find out you're paying about 100 million per annum to educate a kid in USA, Canada, Australia. But you can look at the lesser countries, especially the European ones, which subsidize on university fees. And South Africa has very good universities. So if you can get in, the better. So the opportunities are there, which you can go into. Then there's also drones right now. That's also another field. Designing drones, controlling drones, and all that. That is also another field of aerospace which you can also jump in. What else? What have I said? Academia also. I'm in the university right now, but I studied aerospace, but I didn't go direct. I started with practicing. But the one thing which chased me from whatever, it was because of my beliefs. Because when I was working at Entebbe Airport, they told me to work on Sabbath, and I refused. That is how the next day, Busitema calls me that, hey, we have given a job here. And that's how I'm in what? I'm in academia. Academia is also whatever, and I'm also enjoying it there because I'm able to go to any country I want without restrictions. Yeah, when you have a PhD in aerospace, if you have a master's in aerospace and a PhD in materials, the migration officer asks you, what are you going to do? Well, I'm a professor. Oh, you're a professor. Let me tell you one thing. I went recently to apply for a U.S. visa. So the immigration officer just asked me, so you're a professor? I said, yes. Just ask me a question. What are you going to do? And that is it. Only one question, and I was given a visa. Academia is also good, eh?
Question for you. So ideally, you would go into the industry, you'd go into academia. I went into the industry, but do you mind explaining how academia is, and if someone wanted to go into academia, what are some of the things that they should look out for? Because that's something that some of them might enjoy. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Right now, academia is open, but it depends on how, if you have the interest. Actually, there's one at Busitama University, we have a unique program, we have junior graduate fellows and senior graduate fellows. Now, this student I'm working with is a junior graduate fellow. Fortunately, he's also an Adventist. So I think Docker spoke to him. He studied polymer textile and industrial engineering. He wants to do a master's in aerospace. So I told him, because I wrote 2 programs. One is a Master's of Science in Materials Engineering and a PhD in Materials Engineering. I wrote them when I just returned in the country. Now they are running. So I told them, enroll for our master's program, and then you can continue with the aerospace career. So how do you get into the aerospace? If you complete your first degree, then you can get attached to a professor who can give you work to do. For instance, I have a junior graduate fellow. So that student is working under me, but he's very, very smart, very, very smart. this is a student who is undergraduate, and we are publishing papers with him. That is very unique. It's a skill set which you cannot find in an undergraduate student. I usually give him work, and he writes papers. You try to test them for plagiarism, whether somebody has cut and paste. And you find out that you're getting 2% just information borrowed from elsewhere. Somebody who can write 30 pages. He has just completed, now he's doing his master's. 30 pages in 2 days from his head. So now I'm mentoring him into academia, though he's interested in aerospace. So you can complete your aerospace career and you do a master's. The reason why it's called a master's degree, that's why I usually I advise people that don't do a PhD if you're not interested in academia. Don't. Because it's a research degree. Some people want to be just called doctor. Mm-mm. Don't do it if you're not interested in academia. So in reality, if you do a master's, it means you have mastered in a subject. You can teach it now. You have mastered in it. But if you do a PhD, it means you're going to research in the field. So that is why I am researching in materials across biomedical, aerospace, and all that kind of stuff. So, and it is always better to do a master's when you have some work experience. It's always better, always. But if you don't have work experience, you can still do a master's. That helps you to understand what problem you want to solve. So, as students here, if those ones who are interested in academia, the skill is developed. I think most of you have phones, isn't it? Desist yourself from those shorthand things you type, those things you type when you're chatting. Train yourself to type long statements, correct English. And if you don't, I know they dictate to you notes. If you don't, by the way, you'll find out, but when you're in university and you have to write your dissertation or project or capstone project, as other countries tell, English is bad, really bad. And your grammar will not add up. So make sure you train yourself to write correct English as it is. Even if it's going to take you time, make sure type the correct, not the short forms. So that will help you across the board. And another skill which I would tell you, try to read as much as wide as possible. Know as much about the little which is available because you have the information, and that will help you. It opens your insight. By the way, do you know those philosophers of those days? They would just bring a student, and the student sits there. Then the philosophers like Aristotle, those guys, the Galileos and stuff, they would speak. When you're seated there listening, so now for you to graduate from that class, as you go out to speak, when they see, this kid is now smart. When you start using, do you know why M7 is smart? By the way, some people don't like him. I like him. Do you know why he speaks in those idioms, those, all those African sayings? That is philosophy. It is smart brain. He can look at something and then he thinks of an idiom to use or an African proverb to use. He trained his brain like that. So you can also train your brain to think engineering, to think science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, there's also one thing I want to tell you. You've heard of people who say, if you're doing arts, that you don't need... I don't know why people post these things. I spent much of my time learning trigonometry. Now where am I using it? I spent my time learning about head, thorax, and abdomen. Do you know why? By the way, our system has kind of helped us. Do you know why she excels and she got a first class in her bachelor's? Because our system is kind of rigorous. It will pump you everything. So the brain kind of also expands. And now when it goes to the US universities whereby they are given small, you find it as easy, you ace the papers. So try to train yourself to ensure that you learn as much as possible about the little which is there. Then another thing, another tip I would give to the students: plan, plan, plan. If you want to study aerospace, have a plan. Have a plan. Some of us during our vacation, I've seen if you're in vacation and you're seated at home, I don't know really what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. For us, we spent our vacation moving from one industry to another, trying to look for a job. So the reality, what am I trying to say? When you're working in an industry, you also get more skills. You get it. You get more valuable skills which are going to help you in your career. And another thing what I wanted to mention is that when there's peer pressure, which I should mention, peer pressure, that one is important. I had a friend, by the way, I don't know even why. I'm speaking to the students. Let me ask, why do people watch football? Like every week you are in Arsenal, Man U. Like I just want to know, what exactly do you get? I heard of a school which, I think it was in northern Uganda, they had a strike because they refused to show a Man U and Arsenal match. Seriously, are you British? Do you know why I'm saying that? I was educated in Europe. I've been to Stamford Bridge at Chelsea. I've been to Arsenal. I've been to all those whatever. I've been actually to 5 of the 6 continents, all over. But you will never find a German national supporting an English team. Never. Never. You will never find somebody from Netherlands supporting an English team. Africa should think, open your mind. These are English teams, for the love of God. If at all you want to support football, look at your KCC, look at your Express, look at your whatever, and then support that. You will never find somebody from London, born in London, supporting a Manchester team. Never. Those born in London support the London teams because they are their local teams. Now, how Africa changes its mind, and you see the young ones. You know, Africa is also interesting. When they cry for books, they will go and burn up the library. That is your high schools. I mean, you need books, but let me tell you one story. I was in a country whereby the food was bad. The food was really bad in university. But I've seen people here at Makerere striking because of bad food. In fact, Nawango has done a good job. Those are the kids you just dismiss. And the good thing, Nawango was educated from Russia. That's why he's like that. I mean, in Europe, the only thing, you're supposed to be in school, you're supposed to study. Either the food is bad, it is outsourced. It's a company. It's not the university which is providing the food. You're here to study. Why are you speaking about the food? So, we need to change our mindset. We need to change our mindset. I don't think when she was at McGill that she would comment about the halls of residence. They are outsourced. She would not comment about the food. You have to buy your own food. So it's because we have trained you like that from high school. That the high school, the school will give you food, and then when you reach the university, you start saying, let me tell you, if you're here and you're pursuing STEM, we don't expect you to be in those things. You don't. I've seen a movie which is circulating. Somebody was kneeling for what? And then people have started memes. Makerere is saying that is not our student. Chambago is saying that is your student. I mean, concentrate. And parents who are here, if you have your money, send those kids overseas. They will have a different mentality when they come back. And the people even here who are at Emmaus, they will tell you why I'm always moving in every department and there. Because that's how they trained us in Europe. In Europe, they trained us that we cannot sit. That's how the engineering training. No, we can't sit. When I sit, I feel like, I just don't know. I feel like, no, it's not responsible for me to sit when there's something going wrong. So what am I trying to say? The engineering career is very good. Pursue it. Aerospace career is very good. Pursue it. Thank you.
There's a question here.
Moment before the question. The much awaited General has come. And I would like her to make her way over here. And we have been waiting to hear from you. Winnie, you're welcome. Winnie started the Rio rockets. Have you heard of the saying, that this is not rocket science? Now she started Rio rockets, the breathing engines. If you have heard of breathing, that's something else I forgot to mention. There are types of engines on aircraft. Some are propellers, some are breathing engines. The reason why they're called, do you know why we call them breathing engines? They suck air, compress it, mix it with the fuel, and then poof. That is the whole idea of what? Aerospace engines. Even rockets, they work the same way. Winnie, you're welcome. We have waited for you, and we are glad you're here. Now, the ladies students who are here. Now, you see, you have two mentors. This is really huge, and do not miss this opportunity. Yes, I think Elder Lule had a question, and then Winnie will come up after Dorcas.
There was one here. There was another question here.
It's not a question, Pastor.
Okay.
I was just concerned with my parents. These are things that we find in different conferences. The generational mix. Definitely my other parents, like me, we may not comprehend everything because of, we're a little bit misplaced. But also the part of appreciating the opportunity that you're part of your children's life. Number one, I'll first get in at the year 13 student. Most of us go through primary, secondary, and the others. But there's somebody who said that she's in year 13. That's a different approach to education. Yes. And these are areas we need to explore. I was asking at Aga Khan, and education, it has better opportunities than the generic education. Number two, most of us are teaching our children not to hold the phones. But the phones today, the computers today, those mobile devices are very important. I'm guilty that I don't have internet in my house. I knew Huawei from our childhood. Instead of some of us going to the internet cafes, others went to the video clubs. But you see the opportunities and the differences that we have. I'm not saying that I'm an achiever somewhere, it's also an achiever somewhere. But these are areas and dimensions that can be one, mentor, number two, that we can work with our children. As organizers, I kindly request you, I just wrote something here real fast. After this, let's get the think tanks ready. I know you people, you may hate groups, but if it's a think tank for this, the parents of Emmaus Church, I think that would be very important for you. Why? You have a discussion about your children. But also, if you want to join the children, these university and the secondary school students, you can fit in. You can ask the administrators to join you. So the conversation continues. I know in one day, we cannot complete everything here. We cannot complete everything here. Madam, we are sorry we did not direct you real good. I'm apologizing on behalf of Samson for this. But we are here, we are expecting you. The other problem is the time. The time. I would appreciate Uncle Samson, the next time that we are here, we shall have a resident project or we have a hotel somewhere. People have access to the phone. Somebody was talking about the winglets. I'm also just, as much as I'm empowered to know about these things, I'm also, the new innovations every other day. Somebody was asking about programming. It's a whole set of issues. To me, I don't do programming, but I have somebody I hire in my office to do the programming for me. Somebody actually told me, why do we pay you a bill to analyze the website? I told them, if I can pay somebody to analyze the website, the better. But this is a skill which somebody needs to know. Let me get home. We are live streaming. Do you know that? Yes. We are live streaming. Only that, in a church, it was not known. Watoto started it. Emmaus is copying it. My church in Kayunga, we still wait for the pulpit preaching. You see where we are going? So we need to embrace some of these things. The old generation had their own thing. I'm holding a diary and notebooks. My son will just need a phone. I've actually seen one of my moderators. She has come with her phone. And she's ready to present to you. This is where the world is going. So we need to fit into the jigsaw and things happen. Mr. Wawire, this was for the parents, that after this, get us a platform and we share these things. Things are moving very fast. The 4-point thing that was mentioning about some Africans fitted in. I was reading about the first black samurai. He went in Japan in 1548. But for us, we are hiding and we are putting our head under the sun, the sand. So the blacks are there, the Africans are there, and I usually don't want to get into the blacks, whites, the Adventist, the Muslim. The humans are there, and people are doing things. So get into the space, get into run. Actually, I want to take you a step further. I'm interested in astronomy, personally, and that's where actually I think if my son mentioned something, that's where we are doing our research. There's a group in South Africa that are doing very good things, tremendous things, and that's where I think we need to push further. So there's so much homework. This is an entry point. I'm excited about it, and I'll give it my full support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lule is a very good trainer, and he speaks with passion, especially when it comes to kids. Elder Lule, you'll be welcome here at Emmaus. I want to introduce, before her question comes in, we have another guest. I forgot, I think, because I'm short-sighted, I would say. We have a pilot in the house. So basically, Winnie will speak about briefly, and then we'll have the pilot to speak, especially, sir, there are very many here. They want to fly airplanes. So they want to speak to a pilot. And like I said, we are going to mentor you, and we are going to follow you. Make sure if you haven't registered, please register. This is going to be a wave. And by the time you know it, the aerospace career will be fully planted in the country. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, I think. My name is Juliana Amal Ubonyo. I am a parent, and I came with my son, who is in secondary school. I don't know if there are those that are in lower O-level here. Okay, it makes me feel better because I was thinking this could be prospective university students. Right. I was fortunate to have studied in the United States for my first master's, and then I went to the UK for my second master's. So I can relate to everything that you are saying, including the support for Manchester United and Arsenal. In fact, I lived about 30 minutes away from Manchester when I was in the UK for 2.5 years. And I can tell you, every time there was a march, half of the room was full of black people from Africa, screaming and shouting Manchester and all the names. And then the rest would be white people from other countries. And the real people, the real English people, you'd hardly find them seated watching a match between Manchester United and Arsenal. And so recently I was just chatting with a friend in Indonesia. He's from Liberia, and he asked me, which is your best football club that you really support passionately? And I said, Uganda Cranes. And he was like, what? I was like, yes. Why am I going to kill myself because of Diego and Maradona and everybody who I will never have the opportunity to see when I have the likes of Maweje that I can bump into and have a Rolex with, you know? So he was just really shocked. And I really just encourage all of us, let's have passion for sports and all that, but let's remember that there are bigger things that await us. Now, I have, I think, 3 areas. My son wants to become a pilot, and it's the reason I came here. And I'm very sorry I came late. I only learned about this last night as I was going to bed. My young brother sent me the flyer and said, this might be good for favor. And he had just returned in the night from Watoto Mof Camp. And I said, we must go to this thing. So I said, let's go, even if it's 30 minutes late for us. 20 minutes is enough. So I'm so glad to be here. And that he will be mentored by the best. He's only in S2, and I think he has a long way to go. Now, there's a lot of people, and it's a question too, there's a lot of people that want to become pilots, I'm sure, here, but there is also competitive skills in the market, and I speak from having worked as a senior manager in different organizations in different countries, and every time I'm making a decision to hire somebody, I'm looking at someone that has an over and above skill. And so I was telling my son this morning that you can become a pilot, but if somebody is choosing to hire a pilot, they might go for a pilot that has skills in mechanics as well. If the plane broke down and they needed somebody to fix it, then you can actually jump in than somebody that has just trained to be a driver for the planes. So I am wondering, is there, are you able to speak to, other than just being a pilot, what additional skill set do we need to have in order to become very competitive? If there was 1,000 pilots in the room looking for, 2 openings, what would be the best criteria? What additional skill would they need to study in the aviation industry to make them really high value and very competitive, not only in Uganda, but elsewhere? Secondly, again, I've been privileged to study abroad, and one of the things that I noticed is that for students that are coming from the STEM industry, and maybe I'm wrong, but I've realized increasingly it's difficult for those that have studied their bachelor's in Africa or in Uganda to get easily, A-level, to get admitted for a bachelor's in very competitive countries like the US, like Germany, unless they've really nailed A. But other than that, it's really hard. But on the contrary, students from the arts, I did arts, students from the arts area can easily get a bachelor's admission and a master's admission out there. So it kind of becomes very hard. And I was wondering, at least during the times that I was studying, and I'm still going to study anyway, I saw those challenges with my friends that were, aspiring to be real senior engineers. The last thing that I wanted to also mention is that I really like this because in the days when we were studying in O-level and A-level, we never had mentors, like people sit and tell us things like this. And I remember I wanted to become a doctor, and at some point I wanted to become an engineer, and I wanted to be everything that was STEM. But looking back, I realized I think it was because of the prestige attached to those subjects at the time that first, made me feel that I wanted to, and I didn't have that career guidance. And so we are very lucky to have people like you speak to us and the kids today. And I must appreciate, because yesterday when I called the number on the flyer and I asked, how much is the fee? They said, no, it's for free. And so I just really want to say thank you so much, because getting this opportunity for free, it's not really easy. Now, having said that, I think that these kinds of conversations need to be had also as soon as A-level results are out, because that is a point when students are struggling to choose what subjects, what courses they have to apply to at university. Some students are super smart and get really good grades, but because they don't have the career guidance, they end up applying for different courses. I applied for a course in urban planning at university. I was one of the best in the country during the time of A-level. I went for urban planning, and middle of the semester, I changed. I wanted social sciences, and I switched, and I kept switching because I really didn't have enough career guidance. So I really would like to encourage that as soon as results are released, the S6 leavers that have done STEM should get this kind of talk. The people like those of my son have a really good, long way to go, because you'll guide them on what subjects to concentrate on as they gear up towards O-level. Again, I am from Karamoja. May I request that you please hold this kind of talk in Karamoja? I know that people have said we cannot wait for Karamoja to develop, and I really, because there are not many engineers from Karamoja. There are not many medics and different, even aerospace engineers, to be honest, from Karamoja. We have mechanical engineers, we have civil engineers, not many female. Actually, I think the 5th female medical doctor from Karamoja was mentored by me, that was not a doctor, and she's now working back in Karamoja. So I would really love to keep in touch and see how we can organize such a talk in Karamoja, because we need the planes to fly into Karamoja to get the gold and all the minerals in Karamoja. And if we don't have pilots that can go there, it will really be so hard. So it's my last appeal, and thank you so much for organizing this. I really, really appreciate that it's for free as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here finally. I'm sorry I'm very late, but I thank God I made it here. ASP Engineer Winnie Nalubowa Tumwesije. Yes, I'm a married lady to another police officer. My husband is also a police officer, but he's not in the aviation section, so we managed to blend like that. I studied from National Aerospace University in Kharkov, Ukraine, for bachelor's, aircraft and rocket engineering. I also have a master's in business administration from the US, and I'm currently working with Uganda Police Force in the aviation section called Police Air Wing. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready for any questions, because I know a lot has been said. So in case you have any question, I'm ready to answer it. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you here. I am Mokoka Gideon. I'm from the Air Force, Uganda. We work together with the Police Air Wing. We share a lot of background and history. But specifically, I work with the Suhoi 30 MK2. It's a jet fighter. You know, aviation, it was a field from the engineering when you studied about the Wright brothers. For that case, I hold a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and a master's from Makerere University Mechanical Engineering. And I'm still thinking about to become like my senior in case I happen to get a PhD slot. But for us in Air Force, we give you the platform, whether you did arts, whether you did sciences. I joined Air Force as an engineer, but I had the opportunity of doing the piloting. And even I had an opportunity of coming back for a master's. Don't suppress your fields. You know, aviation, this is a lifestyle, okay? So, nice to meet you.
Sorry, I'll go back to the lady over there. She had a few questions, and I'll ask the panel. So the first question that she asked, I stand to be corrected, was what kind of skill set for the people here that want to be pilots that could distinguish them from other pilots? Because if you're interviewing for a job, you need to be able to stand out. So what kind of skill set as a pilot or as people in aviation would you recommend that they try to get that would distinguish them rather from other people? Okay, I'll take that again. So the first one was, so there are a lot of students here who want to become pilots. What kind of skill set that they should develop that will distinguish them from other pilots? Because if you're in Air Force and you want to get pilots on board, there are skills that you look out for. What are those skills, and how would you advise they actually get those skills?
Thank you very much, engineer. First and foremost, we always have what we call aptitude. Aptitude. In case it's a computer, this is the processor speed. This is independent of whether arts or sciences. Okay? Even arts, it's a science, but it's a science of humanities. The engineering is a science of, these are physical sciences. I stand to be corrected by the prof. But it's all science. But basically, the aptitude. For instance, I can bring a box. A box. I show you this is a box. A box. Do you know a box? Aha. Then I tell you, imagine when it's opened and looking from above. So you have to take decisions at a faster rate. Like for instance, we, the Air Force, for instance, that aircraft runs at a speed of, by average, 2,500 kilometers per hour. That's the speed. Actually, it goes to 3 times the speed of sound. So you have to be quick, and you have to be free. When we have what you call human factors, these are the pressure, the stresses. You always have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Okay? For instance, you're going to class. Leave the issues of home. Leave them home. Okay? You have to focus at one thing at a time. So basically, I could say the aptitude, the comprehension, what ability of your brains. Of course, the sciences come in, but there are people who were not guided properly and they ended up maybe getting kind of misplaced. But we are all given the same platform of competition. That's what you call. That's when the aptitude tests come in. You may never find integration in the aptitude tests. You may never find differentiation. The ability of your brain to process, and also the ability to do what you know and leave or ignore what you don't know. That's why in those aptitudes, let me say numerous questions. Question 1, you pass, they give you a mark. Question 2, you fail, they deduct. Okay? So allow me to rest my case.
So in a nutshell, you need to be able to be a fast decision maker. You need to be a critical thinker. When I was thinking about the different problems that were given in mathematics, crossing a river and all that, all those things we think are unnecessary, but they kind of help us build our critical thinking in some way. The second one was when it comes to STEM courses like medicine, engineering, people who have studied here, they've done their A-level here, and they want to, let's say, do a bachelor's outside Africa, they usually find it hard to get places or admission unless they have like a triple A or they have a couple of A's. Why do you think is the case? And as compared to arts people who find it so easy to get admission in countries outside Africa?
My friend went to Canada and she already had a bachelor's, so she had to restart doing the bachelor's again. Now she's done it for 22 masters and is working in Canada. But she couldn't get even a job with her first bachelor's having got it here. Like easily the job of her passion, healthcare, and things like that.
Okay, so for the Canada specific one, I'll answer that because I studied in Canada and I work in Canada. Generally, and even North America, how their system is, they don't trust, unfortunately, our credentials here unless you get a credential in Canada. So if you want to get a job in Canada, you need to have studied in Canada, unfortunately. If she had a bachelor's here, then she would need either another bachelor's or a master's to be able to get a job there. That is how their system is. I know it's similar to the US and Canada, but I'll let the other people speak to why a student, and I'm speaking to the students here, why they need to work hard to get a couple of A's to be able to be able to get admission into these universities. Why is it the case? And yeah, anything that you can add on?
I'm talking to those that are going to study here. I want to tell you, don't feel bad, because I studied here and I got admission in Ukraine. So all you have to do is just stay focused and be consistent in whatever you do. Don't put yourself on pressure. Like, if you over-pressurize yourself, you might fail. But just be relaxed, believe in yourself first, and always look up to people who are where you want to be. Don't listen to those that are not where you want to be, because we really have that culture of maybe having a family member asking you how many aircrafts do we have in Uganda, and you actually feel so bad and you're let down, yeah? So focus. If someone gets you funny questions that are putting you down, call one of us, and we shall just encourage you. So don't feel bad. Uganda is a good country. We have a good education system, yeah? So just stay focused and be consistent in what you do.
All right. We would like to listen from Teacher Angela. She hasn't said anything. Teacher Angela, please, I think you should speak to the team. I know your experience. I would kindly request you to come up front. And I'm sure you have some ideas too. And some questions.
Supposed to be speaking here. I am an accountant and finance person, and I lecture in accounting and finance. But I have a daughter who started this kind of field all the way from her nursery school. In fact, when she graduated in nursery school, they asked her, what do you want to be? I want to be an aeronautic engineer. And so the teachers, until today, when I find them, they ask me, so how is engineer Teddy? And along the way, she kind of changed and wanted to be a nutritionist and wanted to do literature. She does very good poems, you know. But then all of a sudden, in HSC, she comes back and says, I am going back into aeronautic engineering. And at this point, I have relatives and friends and people who are really close who feel like, why are you taking this child into this? And I'm like, this has been her passion since she was a baby. When she was a baby and she had just started crawling, there was something that she used to get that was electric. I don't know what it was, but she would come where you are crawling, and then she lights it and then runs very quickly away. And then while you are trying to check around, and she's giggling and laughing, and, you know, of course I'm speaking about her when she's here, you know. So it's something that has come from the time when she was a child, and I am hoping that she can achieve this dream because she passionately wants it. Now, of course, she's got questions, but she's not asking. I don't know what's happening, you know. So maybe the opportunity would be given to them to ask the questions, and then thank you very much for the podium.
Thank you, Teacher Angela. Questions now coming from the learners, the prospective students. You have 4 experts here.
Good afternoon. Once again, my name is Kaima David. I'm a second-year student at Chambogo University, pursuing a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. And after your 3 years, you're expected to make a decision between these 3. That's energy, and there is robotics, and there is air and refrigeration. Now, because my dream is to do with aeronautical engineering, how best, I have an idea, I have something I dream, I think that would suit, but then given the information I've had, it's now starting to get informed, but I seek more information. And energy, robotics, because now in industries, say design robotics are taking the trend. And energy, this vehicle is up there, but then you need to maximize energy saving. And of late, energy is taking a different trend in all spheres. People, how can we save energy? Protecting the environment and doing so. Even the plane, they've talked about those, I've forgotten the technical term, that help save the 2%. But the 2% translates to something more in the finance. And how best can, what decision can be better between energy and robotics for the final year of, the fourth year of the degree?
I'd like to answer this very fast before others. Energy and robotics. Which program are you pursuing? Oh, mechanical, all right. Mechanical has mechanics 1. Okay, for us, we did 3 of them. We did mechanics 1, mechanics 2, and mechanics 3. Now, mechanics 3 was vibration of mechanical systems, and also the bit of systems with 3 and 6 degrees of freedom. Actually, I found out that you don't do it that much here in Uganda, but systems with 3 and 6 degrees of freedom, for instance, for the non-engineers, when we say 6 degrees of freedom, it means something can move in the Y direction, it can move in the X direction or horizontally, or it can move in the Z direction, what we call Z, and then also rotate around those axes. That means vertically, horizontally, and the Z direction. And when we say that, what are those systems? They are robots. So if I would tell you what elective you would choose in 4th year between energy and robotics, I would go for robotics. That's Industry 4.0. The energy bit, you will automatically get it along the way. Renewable energy, you can get it along the way. But for robotics, it's like controlling everything. They have made robots which can operate. They can operate someone. Somebody can be in Australia and operate here using a robot. If you look at everything is now controlled by what we call artificial intelligence and robotics. Those things, even in aerospace, they will help you a great deal. If you look at satellites, if you look at all these rocket engines, everything is now looking towards robotics and AI. So that's what I would tell you to pursue. Anybody else? They all agree before I even consulted them. Yes.
Thank you, Professor. My question is a bit simple. I've always been this kind of people who are like straightforward. When I want something, I want it. And from my Form 4, I've always wanted to be an aerospace engineer throughout my O-level, A-level. So, my school, SMARC, has a very good career guidance program. It has very good career guidance programs. OBs come around, civil engineers, electrical. So I had really never picked up passion in any. So problems came during filling the job forms. Makerere, Chambogo, they don't have aerospace. They don't have any. Okay, the aviation-related programs are very low. They mainly relate to business, kind of. So all the aerospace engineers I had met, those who branched, like her and him, most of them did mechanical. Though I've met very few did software and branched into aerospace. Okay, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. I want to go direct into aerospace, but what course would you advise someone? Suppose, God forbid, you're forced to do an undergraduate here in Uganda, and you want to branch maybe during masters. Which courses would you advise? Should you as well stick to mechanical like you did, or?
Before she says anything, I'll let you know. Mine is always the positive side. Actually, we are a bit similar because I chose this when I was in senior 2. So you being in senior 4, that was okay. And I would like to let you know that don't think the otherwise, that what if you have to do it in Uganda? Move with that you do it out of the country, if possible. So she can take it up from there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Move with that. Apply to as many schools as you can. She can advise on that. I started with mechanical because I wanted to get a background, a general mechanical background. But at the back of my mind, like I said, I knew that I always wanted to do a master's. I knew that my concentration, bachelor's, would be aerospace. It's really, it was faith. And then after that, do aerospace. But because you asked a question, I'll answer back. If you happen to do mechanical, you could go into aerodynamics, aeronautics, space engineering. If you do a bachelor's in electrical, you will do avionics, programming, and all the robotics and all that. So that is what I would say. Ideally, a bachelor's in mechanical or electrical will take you so easily into aerospace. But like she said, I think we are all positive people. We have faith. Move with that faith and know that you can easily go into aerospace if that's what you want to do. So, Tina, rather Winnie.
Okay, thank you very much. Here in Uganda, by the way, aerospace, aeronautical, marine, they have an origin from mechanical engineering. Okay? When you see the founding fathers, the Wright brothers, you have to go get some research. You'll see even electrical, it came from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. And every day, new innovations come, new specializations come. Okay? For mechanical, after doing your mechanical, you can go for A and C, airframe and engine. Okay? There are some other specialization whereby they require to only be engine. Like now for us, when an engineer with the Air Force, you specialize even in A and C, you specialize either or engine or airframe. In electrical, you can specialize in avionics. These are aviation electronics. Okay? You can specialize in navigation and communication, or you can specialize in those hyper technical defense systems, which I am not allowed to disclose here. Okay? Classified, yes. Thank you.
For instance, Johnson is a telecom engineer. Right now, aircrafts have internet. Those days, we would fly blind, but now you fly with your Wi-Fi in there. So now, actually, when we visited the Boeing company in November, they put an antenna on top of it's like a dome, some kind of dome, but it has an antenna there. So you find out that you can get into the aerospace field, even if you fail to get, that is it, in case. But if your determined you cannot fail. If you fail to get a course, mechanical can still get you into aerospace. Electrical can still get you into aerospace. Telecom can still get you into aerospace. So some of these courses, they are kind of interrelated. For instance, if you look at aerospace engineering, they started the same courses, almost the same courses the first 2 years with the mechanical, because it's the same program. Then they divert when they go into the details of the aircraft. For instance, if you're dealing with the aerodynamics, aircraft structures, the flight mechanics, and there's a lot which goes into that. Or if you're dealing with, now there's something I wanted to speak about. It's called aerodynamics. Most of the buildings we build here in Uganda, we don't test them against aerodynamics. What is aerodynamics for a layman? Is how air is going to flow over any object. For instance, air flows over a car, we call that car aerodynamics. Do you see these, you people who watch football? Me, I don't, I watch only the finals. Those players, the jerseys which they put on, they are aerodynamically designed. The athletes, the ones who run, they are aerodynamically designed because the flow over you, if for instance you're running, should resist what we call drag. Drag is that force which, is trying to say no, 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 no. You get it, So that's why cars are like that. They are made in such a way that in front is pointed, for it to go through the air. Missiles, which I think my colleague here, they are the ones who deal with missiles. If you look at missiles, that's the reason why it is pointed. It's supposed to go through that. But there is a science behind it, of course. And do you know why when aircraft from space, if you look at space, okay, I'm now speaking space, where Katonda lives. So when you're coming out from space, do you know why things stay in space? It's a vacuum. It's a vacuum. So if it is a vacuum, there are no forces which are going to pull that thing back. So if the idea is that in space, you get something up at a particular speed, spin it, release it. It will go like that until eternity. It will only just deteriorate because of the radiation which is there. So that's why satellites are able to what? To spin, like they will spin. Sometimes when they get out of their orbit, like somebody was asking about automatic control, they kind of realign, or it realigns itself back to the orbit. Now, that's why when those people are in space, for instance, Elon Musk goes to space with his SpaceX, you've heard of what they call the orbit burn. The orbit burn. It is in orbit, but in order for it to fall out of that orbit, they fire some rockets, then it gets out of the orbit. That's what called the orbit burn. So when it deorbits itself, it removes itself from the orbit. Now, when it is coming, if you remember very well your physics, the interaction, the kinetic energy heats up those elements. If you remember, Space Shuttle Columbia blew up. Why? There was a leakage through the tiles, and they died. That is when the Israel astronaut, one of the pioneer Israel astronaut, died, So when it is coming, because it is coming from space, and then when it enters the atmosphere, that friction of the molecules heats up the material up to more than 2,000 degrees of Celsius. And that's why as you look at Soyuz capsules, they reorientate themselves, that then they put the belly, such that when it is coming, the heat will be on the belly, not on the frame. And the space shuttles would enter the Earth's atmosphere with their bellies. That's the physics behind it. And how they go there, it is also what you study in class. You've studied projectiles, that thing like this. That's how they launch aircraft. They launch aircraft in space. It's a projectile. You launch it. By the time it reaches a particular point on the top, it's already in space. That is what, yes. It's called escape velocity, yes. You need to design it in such a way that it escapes the gravity of Earth. So they use a lot of thrust to escape that gravity, not to pull it down. As long as it gets in space, you're done. You can now hover freely. So you can study aerospace. You people, we can speak till the morning. It is so wide and it is so interesting. Because for me, for instance, when the space shuttle is coming up, because it's usually screened on NASA pages, when it's coming back, my hair is always on end. I'm like, then they start mentioning time -5, the orbit burn in 2 minutes. I mean, you feel that voice going through and you're like, no, I'm going to study aerospace.
Good afternoon. As I said earlier, I happen to have done arts with only a geography, in my combination. And you guys say it's possible for me to still pursue on the pilot. Isn't it crucial that I have to go back and use my O-level certificate or something?
Beg your pardon?
Like for me to go into the pilot stuff of it, isn't it for me like I have to use the O-level certificate, or it's okay, I still can use the A-level certificate?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the audience provided. My question is also similar to hers. Having done history, entrepreneurship, geography, and then I'm also looking at my mentors at the moment, the pilot in the PPDF Air Force and the one in police. My father has always found me doing research on guns, planes, crashing, whatever. And he wonders why yet I did history, entrepreneurship. But that's where my dream is. So my question is, how are you able to help us go over such and maneuver? Thank you.
I'll start with you. I don't know whether you want to be a pilot or you want to be an engineer or you just want to join the aerospace industry.
Join and do whatever comes across.
Okay, I can give you hope that you can always join whatever field. Either you want to be a pilot, you can join, and you can also join engineering, but you can do some basic courses, like entry-level courses that can push you to the engineering side. But I don't think we have that here in Uganda, where you can go and maybe say that I've changed my mind, let me get a bridging course. But when you're going to be studying out there, you can always do that freely.
But then also, I think how to become a pilot, just in conjunction with her question, if someone wanted to become a pilot, let's say with UPDF, what process do they go through? Do they necessarily have to have done sciences? If they've done arts, what process do they go through?
Thank you very much. Where we've reached as the Air Force, we have a lot of resources. You know, the criteria sometimes it's due to the limited resources. Where we've reached in this century, we have a lot of resources. So, I go back for piloting aptitude. It's not a one-off process. It's going to be a continuous process. For instance, you have to begin from these baby aircrafts. You know, you can't just jump onto the Suhoi. You begin from these Cessna,
172, Cessna 186, you have advanced, you go to Caravan 280, you go like in speeds, because there is subsonic, transonic. However much transonic is a bit tricky, having flights in transonic. You either go to, do we go to Mach? Do you know?
Is it over Mach 0.8?
Yeah, we go to 0.9, then there you jump to 1.2.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of turbulence. When you try to go to the aviation history, we used to believe that we can never exceed the speed of sound. But now, actually your training goes on according to the speeds. Because there's a lot of G-forces, okay? There are forces involved. Huh? That's why you don't just, actually there's what you call aviation physiology. The way your body responds to the forces as you're having flights, okay? So it is a gradual process as you go on upgrading, but I still remain with the aptitude as long as it's in the field of what? Piloting. But engineering, you have to have done sciences. And even if you've done mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, they are bridging courses. Like mine, I did it with the GSC Aviation Holding. It's in Kalipova. I still get issues with the name, but it's in Russia. So, but everything comes to pass. It's just a short course, okay? You bridge. Then when you want to get higher levels like our prof, you have to sacrifice further, okay? Further. Thank you very much.
I wanted to, since I'm a teacher, they have spoken about Mach and the G-forces for the students. Have you been to the lift? And then when it is falling free, then you feel like your intestines are getting out. Those are G-forces on your body. So, but you find out that like him, the pilots they fly these fast aeroplanes, they put on some suits in order to reduce the effect of those forces on the body. By the way, you can pass out if you don't have the training. That is why the astronauts, when they are going to space, they are trained, the training regime to withstand some of those forces. You and I, as a normal person, when we are subjected to those V forces, you will automatically pass out. That's why when they are flying those planes, they find out that some pilots, even they have to close their eyes, they are trained such that to withstand those forces. Those forces, they impact your body and you feel like your brain is getting out. But what I wanted to say is that I want to ask Bwana Engineer and Afande that does the UPDF and also Afande number 2, does the UPDF and the police have internship openings for some of these young prospective aerospace future Sukhoi jets engineers? Do they have openings? And if they do, what is the procedure? Because there's a need of these ones to get hands-on, especially since now we have mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, telecom engineering as the closest to aerospace. Do we have those openings? We have high school students who are interested. You know, I'm sure they are going to take some of the photos with you. That photo can invigorate and inform a student that this is my career. I need to pursue it because I was with one grade. We have some of those internship positions. And now they spoke about the Mach forces. When you hear those aircraft when they are roaring, don't you feel those ones who want to study aerospace that, I need to study aerospace? It is good music. By the way, when an aircraft is passing over, that is good music for an aerospace engineer. It sounds good. But when we surpass the speed of sound, you know the speed of sound, how much is it? So you're in school, those ones who are in school, 300 on what? Hey. Are you sure? forgotten, 340 meters per second. So when you travel at that speed of sound, there is what we call a sound barrier. And you go beyond it, now you're in Mach. That's why you see some Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3. That's Mach 3, that is 3 times the speed of sound. Rockets move even Mach 11. That's 11 times the speed of what? Of sound. But in order to reach that, is the science, which we cannot say now. But because we had organized this for 2 hours, 3 hours, this much we can speak. We can speak till morning about it. But I would like to say that we are going to pair you up. If you haven't registered, please put up your hand. Make sure you're on your registration sheet. So because we are going to pair you the ladies, we're going to pair them with the ladies. The men, we want to pair them with the men because that's, we want to do it holistically that way. The pilots, we're going to pair them all, either lady or whatever, with the pilot. And I would like to ask Afande to tell us about those open positions, if they are there for internship. Because these high school and primary school students, they need that feel. Eh? They need that feel. Recently, I was in a Concorde. My whole life, I wanted to step on a Concorde. So when I got the chance to go to Seattle in the United States, and they took me to a Concorde, I felt like I'm an accomplished aerospace engineer. A Concorde was the fastest passenger airplane that has ever been made, but it was grounded. So when these ones get to a Sukhoi, and they just step in, or just an aircraft, it will be something. It's an impetus, an added impetus in order to pursue their career. So the two generals, please clarify on that.
Okay, Uganda Police Air Wing has internship opportunities, but you must be having papers. You don't just come maybe after senior 6 and you say, I want to do internship here. No, you must have a qualification already, and you apply through the IGP, Inspector General of Police. That is, you write the letter to him requesting for internship in Uganda Police Air Wing. That's all. If you want to do internship in engineering, of course, you must have a bachelor's or a diploma. If you're going to be doing maintenance, you must have a higher diploma in maintenance engineering. And if you want to do piloting, you must have a CPL and IR. Commercial pilot license and instrument rating. You must have all. Don't come with a private pilot license and you want to do internship in Air Wing. Because the standard, normally forces have a very high standard of people they bring in. So you must be cream to be able to, to have that competition with all the other people that are applying.
Do you necessarily, should you have completed your bachelor's, or for example, I'm in 3rd year, I want an internship, can I come to you?
Those that are in probably 3rd year or you're about to finish, there are better companies like MAF. I don't know if you've heard of MAF. Yes, it's in Kajansi. We have Ego Air. We have Bar Aviation. All those ones are ready to, take you up.
Another question to Dr. Rahwire. Uganda Airlines, does it have internship opportunities for people who are, 3rd year, they've not yet completed their bachelor's, but they would, 2nd year, for example, in between? Yeah.
Good question. As the board, we tried so much to ensure that we build capacity. Yes, we have internship opportunities, and we have come up with a graduate trainee program. And that is why it informed, since the generals are here, actually I'm going to send you the curriculum, and then you look at it, the mechanical engineering curriculum with a component of aerospace. I want you to look at it professionally from your professional point of view. You can tear it apart, and then you put, yes, that's what curriculum, you can say, no, this is garbage, add in something. So feel free to tear it apart because we want to build this country. We want to ensure that this country achieves its Vision 2040 goals. I'm not a politician. So, But what I want to say is that the opportunities are there. You apply through the human resource department, especially for the engineering. We would want you to ensure that at least if you're already in school, and most of the people who are in the airline, they did mechanical. Actually, they did mechanical here. So it's important for you to have the trade. Still, I would like to emphasize the universities are there. They are there. We have your mails. For me, I'm going to make sure I will always be sending these opportunities to your mails. I'm going to be sending them. So if you put your mail here, I'm going to send the opportunities. The scholarships are there. You can apply for them. And even you can get admitted. For instance, by the way, there is Kulika Charitable Trust scholarships for the UK. Madvan also has some scholarships. Yes. The Islamic Development Bank also has some scholarships if you get admitted. So if you get admitted to some of these universities, you can apply to these funders. Madivani, I know it funds, and Islamic Development Bank, especially for those who have names like Musa, so something like that. So you can easily get money. But also they're also open, but the scholarships are there. Apply to them, Okay, Ukraine now is in having issues, but there are other countries in the EU with lower tuition fees. Latvia is there, Poland is there, Finland, I already told you, they don't have tuition fees. Germany don't have tuition fees as long as, learn German, and then you go and study for free. So some of these countries like Slovenia, Czech Republic, Austria has some good, yes, some of these. You look at these countries, look at the country in EU, if you look at, get a country in EU, just go and study, Let me tell you, the training there and the experience you're going to get when you come back is going to be totally different. You're going to be exposed. You need that exposure. And I think the people at Emmaus can testify. My work ethic is totally different. How work ethic means, if you have exposure the other side, you get exposure the other side. Your whatever totally is different. You see Johnson is here because he has got an exposure of working out of the country. So, please, parents, if you get an opportunity after high school, give your kid that exposure. They will be totally different, and they will enjoy it. I think, yes, you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something. As the prof said, the scholarships are there, but you who wants them, you have to be very fast. You have to plan ahead. Don't think that you want to get a scholarship this year and you start this year. You're always supposed to look forward. Now, that is what he was still talking about. You have to be different. Most times people look at you and they're like, why are you behaving as if you're not in Africa? You've had those statements, but you shouldn't mind about them because you've seen people who have not studied here and you've seen that they've achieved. So you always have to look back to those that have done what you want to do. So you have to be very fast. If you want a scholarship next year, start this year. Look for a university, apply so that you can have enough time to prepare. Some of the scholarships require you to write essays explaining why you want the scholarship. And you have to be, you have to be real, and you're not supposed to lie. And you're not supposed to copy from someone else's essay. So you have to be original. So what I'm saying is the scholarships are there, but they're not like a bed of roses that you're going to just wake up and go knock on someone's door and get it. No, you have to plan for it. I want to say something about her. She asked about choosing her O-level and A-level. Piloting, I can also say it depends on where you're going to study it from. Because from the US, if you're 16, you go into piloting. Here, you need A-level. But I've seen students that have done the PPL, the first level, after senior 4. They go for their A-level, and then they come private pilot license, the starting step. You can do it after senior 4 in your vacation as you're lounging around. You need 3 months, and then you go do it. And then after, you can go for A-level if you really want to, and then you go do your commercial pilot license, so the license that will allow you to fly people. So all these things can be done, but because some people don't know or some parents are not aware, they always think things are hard because they didn't do them. So the parents that are here, I would like to also applaud you. Some parents discourage their children because they think since there is no lawyer or there is no aerospace engineer in the clan, they think it can never happen. So you break that curse and become the first.
With all that, we'd like to thank all of you for coming. Don't forget, this is cohort number 1. When you had not come, we have very bright students here, and they are passionate about aerospace. I find it, they are very passionate. And I've already told them that look at our forces, they are very good employers. And it's now a professional army. So do not look down on joining the forces, please do. And you'll get those opportunities. So spread the news. Spread the news. There'll be more mentorship programs from our leader, Mrs. Joyce Sakatawa, the one who is seated behind there, the one in green. She has lots of things she has planned for us, but this was specifically for aerospace. I know these trainings, sometimes they charge you people money, a lot of it. But we thank our education director for ensuring that this training is here, and it was free. And we are going to share the opportunities. For us, what is important is for ensure that this country, we build the next generation of engineers. And we can build the next generation of engineers by sharing our knowledge. There are many Ugandans at the Boeing company. They'll be coming into the country. And when they come and they're allowed to speak to you, when you see the flyer going around, or when it comes to your mails, now you have them, please come. They have hands-on experience. Actually, they started from here. Most of them did mechanical and electrical. And now they are big people at the Boeing company. So just ensure that in whatever the Bible says, in whatever you do it with all your might. Because down there, where you're going, there's neither eating and whatever. So you need to study with all your might. Then also, those who are in universities, there's one thing which we forget. They don't tell it to you here. For you, at least here, you're okay. But when you're in semester 1, just have a target that you're going to, if you're here, we use GPA of 5, elsewhere they use 4. Just target that you're targeting 5 or 4.5 and above. So when you calculate yourself like that, then you, at the end of the course of the degree, you'll find out you're getting a first class. But if you forget, then also another thing, get a sport. Get a sport you are involved in. Just have at least one thing you play. Either football, you can play in your leisure, not watching. Just get something, just get a game that you can play. Either it is athletics or anything, just get something. Then another thing, get an instrument to play. Have an instrument, at least one. If it's not too late, you can start now. Either you can play keyboard, or you can play violin, or you can play guitar. The reason why I'm telling you that, when you play music, it opens also your brain. So the way you can, your cognition capacities. So that is important. And besides, when you're bored, you will go and play your guitar, or your violin, or your piano, and then the brain becomes more sharper. And when you're bored, maybe you can play football, or you can play table tennis, or you can play tennis. So it is good for your brain. Instead of sitting and playing games and then WhatsApping all through 24 hours. So that is very important. I think I would like to invite our education director to close the meeting. And we thank you again. Thank you for a short notice. Reason being, Dorcas, who is leaving today, and we had to, she allowed to speak to us today. So she gave her time. Winnie, I just told her, and she was like, I'm coming, I'm going to be there. And then Afande, we thank you very much for creating the time. And if you want to take photos, you're free to take the photos. You're free to take the contacts. Get them, especially the ladies, get the ladies' contacts. they will be very, very beneficial. You can be elsewhere, you can be in school studying aerospace engineering. We are here. We have studied these things and we shall be able to help you. He is able to help you because he has also gone through mechanical masters and he's also an aerospace, is a pilot and all these things. So we shall be able to help you where you fail. Now on innovation, Mr. Kawankwasa, we should innovate the drones. We should have home-built drones. Let's start with the drones, the small ones. Here, made in Uganda.
If you're talking about drones, currently I head the drone project in police, so we can always, and I want us to start manufacturing our own. I already have my own, the frames at least, that I designed in Katia. So, and before she speaks, sorry, the prof talked about first class, you gauge yourself. I have a first class bachelor's degree, so it's not rocket science. You can always do it.
Thank you very much, our guests. We are so happy to have received you today and for being humble enough to come and share your career path with us. It is really humbling. I also want to thank Dr. Rahire for enabling this also to happen, because without his efforts, this wouldn't have taken place. Because in my past or former church, I really wanted to put this forward, but they weren't very cooperative. And I'm so grateful for Emma's SDA Church for having taken the initiative to allow this to happen. Also thank the parents who have given us their children to come in here to listen to this career talk, because it's really important. Some of us weren't blessed to have such talks in our schools, and for the schools that are having them, it's a really great opportunity for you to be able to have such teachers and head teachers to guide you at an early age. It's very important for children to know their career paths way from childhood. They'll be able to know where they're going and not waste a lot of time in different courses and career opportunities that are not going to help them. Personally, I'm a social worker by profession, and I think this is why I'm able to do such things. I'm good at helping people see their journey ahead. And I would also want to thank the children that are really so focused like you, that can take that initiative all the way from home. Others are sleeping, others are playing games, others are watching movies and on. But you, to be able to come and listen to our people here, please clap for yourselves. And I also want to thank the people who are putting these things online. People are texting and they're happy that they are also with us here. Others are still sending in their numbers, their names, so that they can be part of the Aerospace group that is going to be formed. And much, much, much things. I still want to thank Dr. Rahire for connecting with where would I have found these beautiful ladies and the handsome gentleman. A social worker now listening to aerospace information. I wouldn't have managed to have that. And I thank you. Maybe, who knows, I will talk to my children about it, because I tried talking to them in the morning and they told us that we shouldn't impart things on them. So I tried lecturing them in the morning. You could be aerospace people, what? I talked, all of them were like, me, mommy, I want to be a surgeon. The other one was saying, no, I want to be an artist. So those things. So I'll go back and give them information about it. At least I've learned a lot, and maybe they will gain interest as they carry on their career journeys. Thank you very much for your time. May God bless you.
Thank you. Is there any parting shot? Oh, okay. Back to Johnson and winding.
I'll invite one of the parents to come and speak on behalf of the parents, to pass a vote of thanks. I think I will still invite you to come and speak here.
Thank you very much. As a parent of a prospective aerospace engineer and pilot, I take the privilege to really thank you all for organizing this. What was the tire for the plane called again?
Landing gear.
Landing gear. Today I'm going to be threatening people with new vocabulary. Instead of saying tires, I'll be saying landing gears. So you can imagine, as a parent, I'm a conflict expert by profession, and it's really exciting to learn new things here today. As I said earlier, it's really not easy to find career talks like this that come in free of charge, because we know that you incur costs for the venue, you incur costs for the water that we are all drinking freely here, you incur costs for the sound system, you incur costs for chairs and so many other things, including your own time. As an expert myself, every time I'm working as a consultant, I am paid per hour. And so for the several hours that you've been here, you would have been earning an income somewhere. But you chose to be here to talk with us today, the parents and especially the children. May the Lord enlarge your territories. May all your dreams come true. For our engineer in Russia, in Ukraine, may all the drones sent by Russia dodge you and not find you. May you be safe at all the time, because I think that engineering also comes with a lot of safety hazards. They are very prone to hazards. And so we pray that you do not become a victim to any of the workplace hazards as a result of your job. Thank you so much for all of the time that you've given to us. And to the children, thank you also for coming. I would like to implore on behalf of the parents that please, when our children contact you, please respond. We've attended some of the forums like this where everybody's like, please call us anytime. If you're discouraged, text us, WhatsApp us, call us, please call. If anybody's saying something negative that will bring you down, call. But after this departure, they just go, sweet. Nobody will pick their phone calls. You text and even send a picture. Here's a picture of me and you. We attended this together. I have a question. And blue ticks, and they will never respond. Please respond to our children when they come to you, either virtually. They might even want to come to your workplaces to just have a feel. You have mentioned that you must have a minimum qualification to be able to undertake an internship at the police, whichever places. But there are children amongst us here who don't yet have a minimum qualification. And they want to get a feel of how does it feel to even be on the cockpit. Please allow them to come to the cockpits. Please allow them, you are in the board of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. If the children want to come and just check, some of these children have not stepped in Entebbe Airport. How many have stepped the airport where the planes take off? How many? Can you raise hands? You see? So we have children here who don't even know how the planes take off, just to observe how they take off. If they ask for such a thing, please allow them to come and see. You have no idea the impact it can have. Just seeing a plane take off, it will really impact our children very positively. And so with these few words on behalf of the parents, I would like to thank you so much and pray that you organize so many of these kinds of conversations, and that you'll also consider, as I mentioned earlier, to organize them in Karamoja, the land of opportunities. That's right. Thank you so much.
I think what's the best way of them getting our contacts? WhatsApp group. Okay.
Okay, I will invite all of us to stand up. And as we close, I also want to remind you that this is the Maya Seventh-day Adventist Church. For those who are not Adventists, we hold our services here every Saturday, and you're always welcome to worship with us, not only in the physical realm, but also in the spiritual realm. We want to fellowship with you. Amen? Yes, so you're welcome every Sabbath. We're here from morning up to evening. You can always pass by and worship with us. I know many of you know our songs, so we're going to just sing one hymn, just like we started, and then we shall have a prayer. If you do not know the songs, you can just listen to the melodies. Amen? Yeah, we're going to sing God Will Take Care of You. That is hymn number 99. God will take care of you. Be not dismayed, whatever betide. Let's sing. Be not dismayed, whatever betide. God will take care of you. Beneath his wings of love abide. God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day, all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. Number 4. No matter what may be the test, God will take care of you. Lean weary one upon his breast, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day, all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. Let us humble ourselves in prayer. Our Father, God who art in heaven, the creator of the entire universe, and the one who sustains us every second, every minute that we live, we want to exalt you and thank you for this precious moment. Thank you for the parents in our midst. Thank you for the children in our midst. Thank you for the youths, the teens, and also the adults in our midst. We want to thank you, Father, for the blessings of knowledge and the opportunities that you have bestowed upon the many of moderators that are here in our midst. We believe, God, that because you have done it for them, you can also do it for us. And so, Father, we pray even as we leave this place, that the dreams that we have within us will keep burning, and that with you as our guide and our provider and our sustainer, we shall be able to achieve those dreams. There are some of us in this place who maybe do not have enough resources in terms of funds, who maybe do not have enough of the mentors, but now you have brought us mentors here who can direct us on what to do next. We want to thank you, our God. We pray, God, that you will continue providing for our guardians, our parents, and also that we shall remain focused. But above all, Father, we pray that we shall find the ultimate reason for us to live in this earth, to live for you and also prepare ourselves for your second coming. May you, Father, accept us. We pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. God bless you.
Members, good afternoon once again. I was here in the beginning. I need to close this. We are leaving to go. Have you got a friend here?